You guys ready to go? Yeah?
Hi guys, and welcome to this live recording of the Anthem announcements that they made during EA Play. The launch date is set on February the 22nd, 2019, and they even made a real-life exosuit, which you can see later in the video. I will let the developers explain all the details for themselves, but for now, enjoy the new intro of Anthem.
The gods vanished and left our world in chaos. Creating, altering, destroying. The Anthem is all that remains.
There's a storm coming. These walls can't protect us forever.
Destroy us all.
The community manager here at BioWare. With me is Casey Hudson, the general manager for BioWare, and Mark Dara, executive producer for Anthem. So we just saw the cinematic trailer for Anthem. How many of you out there saw the press conference this morning? Well, for any of them who didn't, Casey, tell us a little bit, what is Anthem?
So, Anthem is a game that we started really a few years ago, back right after we finished the Mass Effect trilogy. The team that made the Mass Effect trilogy kind of moved on to a new IP where we wanted to make something that would be, all the fun of a BioWare game, a big new world to explore, but also something that would be a living and dynamic world that would actually change every time that you played it. There'd be something going on, there'd be weather, there'd be events, and something that's, we all share at the same time. So if we're all playing Anthem right now, that we're all experiencing a storm or a beautiful day or an onslaught of locusts or whatever it is. And then we had this idea of maybe we could do that through exosuits, and then whatever suit you get into basically makes you into a different class of superhero. But then as we got into figuring out how the world would work, we realized, well, are you ever out of the suit? And what if you're in the woods, do you come across someone who's out of their exosuit? And we realized what's going to really make it work is if we have forts that are safe and you can walk around, just in your normal clothes and see people and have that experience. But then once you go outside of the fort, everything out in the world is so dangerous, you will immediately die if you're not in an exosuit. So then we can really amp up the scale of enemies and weapons and dangers out there. And we built the world to do that. So it's a world that's built to be so dangerous that you have to be in one of these suits when you're out there.
Well, and that's what really allows us to do this concept of our world, a shared experience that we play and experience together, but then my story, where you go back to one of these forts and you experience a story that revolves around you in a more single-player experience, even though when you're out in the world, it's a cooperative experience.
So we've got a lot of questions that we've had online. Social media has been blowing up, and
one of the biggest questions we've been getting has been about the exosuits. Now, right over here, we actually have a life-size exosuit that we had built, so we can bring that out right there.
This will be the suit you actually start the game in.
So as you can see, pretty beefy, pretty tanky. So tell me, what can you tell me about the exosuits?
Yeah, so this is a Ranger, and really I think one of the things that really we've been asked a lot about is how much you can customize and is also how much you can personalize the suit. So you can see she's actually holding an assault rifle. You'll be able to change what guns you can use. You can have assault rifles, shotguns, pistols, and then the heavier Colossus can use light machine guns, grenade launchers. Additionally, you have gear that can change the way you play as well. The Ranger has grenades as well as a wrist spot. And then there's just a ton of really deep personalization that allows you to really customize the way that the javelins look. So you can change the entire paint job, but there will also be armor packs that come out that allow you to change the silhouette of the actual suit, change the shoulders, and change just the way that they look so that you can really make the suit your own. You're going to be playing with these javelins for a really long period of time. We want to make sure that they feel like they belong to you.
And I think the thing that I really love is, you know, it's an amazing power armor suit, but you're not just running around on the ground. Like, that suit there in the game can rocket up to the highest mountains, dive into the ocean, and you can actually find underwater caverns and do swimming and stuff like that. So it really brings out the fantasy of being super heroic.
Yeah, you can actually see her jets there on the back that let her actually fly. They're broken right now.
The suits look absolutely fantastic. We've actually got all four of them. We have the Colossus, the Interceptor, the Storm, and they're going to be here all weekend just over by the Anthem Theater. So if you want to get your picture taken with them, you can head over there. But let's get on to a couple of more questions and wave goodbye to our performer. One of the biggest things that we have heard over and over again is loot boxes and microtransactions. How are we handling those in Anthem?
Yeah, so Casey drops a bottle of water. So there will be some vanity and cosmetics available, but we want to make sure that you always know what you're going to get before you spend any money. So no loot boxes, and we're not going to have any ability for you to buy power. So everything is focused on cosmetics in terms of when you're spending money. And more important than that, we want to make sure that the experience is whole. When you buy the game, we want you to feel like you're getting a whole game, even if you spend no more money. So that means having a complete story, an open world, and then additional content that we provide to everyone after launch to keep that experience growing and evolving over time.
Yeah, so that's a really important part, is just we want people to be immersed in the game. So the game that you buy, you keep playing it, it keeps evolving, it has a live service, that is what you get, and you continue to be able to earn stuff and progress and get all kinds of new content just with what you buy with the original game. So that's really our focus, because we just want to make a game that's immersive and has a world that you want to keep returning to, and that all your friends are in there and you're able to enjoy it all together.
Yeah, I mean that world that was left unfinished by the gods, that really allows us to keep that world changing and evolving for the long term.
So we've talked about this unfinished world, and BioWare really is known for its worlds and its stories. But what can you tell me about who we're fighting? What are we going out there to accomplish as the freelancers?
Yeah, so there are, I'm going to break the enemies down into sort of four primary categories. There are beasts and monsters that exist out in the world. These are huge creatures that are just a threat to you. Sometimes they're actually just a threat because they're just a massive herbivore that's just ornery, but some of these things they see you as food. And there's just a wide variety of that kind of creatures. Then there are the Scars. The Scars are an invader race that have come through a Shaper Ruin that activated and drew them from somewhere else. And they are constantly trying to harvest and and manipulate and interact with the Shaper technology in ways that don't really make much sense, but they're a constant sort of threat. Then there are two human enemy factions. There's bandits. So these are groups that have gone out, left the protection of the forts, and are sort of preying upon humanity out of these little enclaves where they just sort of huddle down within the world. And then the primary threat, the threat that drives the major story of Anthem, is the Dominion. This is a militaristic human nation that exists outside, beyond Fort Tarsus, that they believe they found a way to harvest the Anthem of creation, the source of the energy that created this world and powers these Shaper ruins, in order to use that to dominate the world, to take over all of humanity. And so they're your real primary antagonists in terms of the storytelling perspective.
Yeah, and so we kind of have a few different categories of things that you do. There's the open world, and so that's one cool thing about this is there's story, there's missions, but there's also just free play in the open world that you can go out and see what you can find. And so there's a lot of lore behind the world, and then you do have missions sort of against the environment, and then some pretty story-based missions, but that's also what we want to evolve over time. So, a week after you get the game, a month or a year after you get the game, there's still new things that you want to show up for. Just like if you're watching your favorite HBO series, you find out like, oh, this week there's something else happening, and then you show up to see those characters or follow those storylines.
So one thing I should mention from that as well is we also have something that we call strongholds. This is something like a dungeon or a raid from games that are similar to Anthem, and this is a harder, self-contained piece of content that you'll go in and with 3 other people and really challenge yourself in order to get better rewards and really put yourself to the test.
And for people who are interested in seeing more about that stronghold, I know we showed a taste of that at the press conference this morning, but actually we have a demo over in our Anthem Theater over there where you can see some of that gameplay.
Absolutely, yeah. I would definitely recommend checking it out.
So we talked about story. Let's move on to characters. How did you tackle relationships in Anthem?
Yeah, so Anthem, you will have interactions and relationships with other people, other characters, other NPCs that are written by our writers. You're also going to obviously interact with other people playing the game. We aren't doing romances in Anthem, but you are going to be having these deep relationships that evolve over time and really get you to know and have a emotional attachment to these people.
All right, and our last question's going to be a tough one. When does it come out?
I can take that one.
Yeah, I think you answered it already once before.
So yeah, Anthem comes out next spring, February 22nd, and we can't wait for people to check it out.
Well, thank you, Casey. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. And as a last thing, we have some T-shirts that we're going to be throwing out to the crowd. So raise your hands, and that gentleman's going to try to hit you with a bomb. Blue tape means it's a unisex shirt. Pink tape means it's a ladies' cut shirt. Thank you, everyone.
I want to make a question. Is that possible?
Thanks, everybody.